So it's starting to look like this is the year of the backup quarterbacks, with several guys who started the season as a backup have now taken on a starting role, and one of those guys is Panthers quarterback Kyle Allen. He's kind of come out of nowhere, you know. He was a no-name, undrafted free agent who came along with Carolina and actually had a pretty good game last year against the Saints, and really his only game up to this point in his career. He threw for 228 yards, but only in 27 attempts, and he also had 2 touchdowns and no turnovers to go along with it. And not to mention the rushing touchdown as well. But at the same time, it was week 17, and the Saints already had their playoff hopes locked up. And while they did still play a lot of their starters, you know, they already have everything locked up. They probably weren't playing as hard as they typically would in a regular season game. And so with Cam Newton supposed to be coming back from an injury, and also with the Panthers drafting Will Grier in the 3rd round, it kind of started to look like that might be the only game Kyle Allen would ever get a chance to play. But that was not the case. He got another chance to play a game, and he certainly took advantage of it. He was great out there against Arizona. I mean, his stat line just speaks for itself, really. Yes, he only had 261 yards, but that was on just 26 attempts, and he also had 4 touchdowns and no interceptions. So, over 10 yards per attempt and a 4-0 touchdown to interception ratio, I mean, that's very good. I know it was just against Arizona, but let's just get into what made him so effective, and we'll start things off with this play. This is kind of what they did a lot, actually. This is a zone coverage killer, and on this play it is zone coverage, as it's a cover 3 zone that Arizona is going to be running, and what they're doing is it's going to be play action, and then to have a receiver running right over there. It's something that kind of became a staple of the Carolina Panthers offense over the years, but a huge part of that was just with them having Cam Newton, so he could also, you know, have 3 options in the RPO. Either you hand it off to your halfback, you run it yourself as a quarterback, or you throw it to your receiver. And so for Carolina, they kind of just mixed it up slightly with Kyle Allen, who still can move, but is definitely no Cam Newton, where they don't really want him to be running the ball a lot, so what they're simply doing is kind of just going from an RPO to just a standard play action. That way they can just do a slight twist on things and not have to change their whole offensive coaching staff. You don't have to change your whole system in just 1 week, because that's impossible to do. And the reason this play works, and again, it's not just Carolina Panthers specific, a lot of teams do this, but the way it works is just because of the play action, the linebackers move in, and then he can just throw it over the top of them. And as you see, he fakes the play action, and just look how open his receiver is. I mean, this is just too easy for Kyle Allen. That's an offensive coordinator's job. Make things easy on your quarterback. That's what Carolina did there. They made things easy for Allen, and he was able to come through, make a very good throw, and they pick up the first down. And so that's how the play is supposed to work if everything is executed perfectly, but sometimes that doesn't happen. Sometimes the defense does a good job of not getting fooled by play action, and that can create some tighter windows. But for Allen, he doesn't have too much of a problem with that either. Like on this one, what's going to happen is that it's pretty much the same thing. You run play action and then have your receiver on the top half of the screen, just run that route, try to get past the linebackers, pick up some yards. However, the key difference this time is going to be that Arizona Cardinal right there. Watch what he's going to do. He does a good job of not getting fooled. Look how quickly he steps back and makes sure he's going to get into this passing lane. That's a really good play by him. So for Allen, he's kind of in trouble right now, because he can't just make this throw right now. That would just result in an interception. It'd be a terrible decision to make his throw right at this instant. Usually at this point, he would already be making the throw, but he can't because there is a linebacker in the way. So instead, he's going to basically just start to make the throw right now, as opposed to finish the throw right now. It's a good little patience, and then he's also going to make a great throw, and they still get the first down, despite the fact that Arizona played that one pretty well. And that wasn't the only way Allen was able to be effective, but really, Allen was really accurate, and I think that really opened up the playbook for the Carolina Panthers. Like on this play, it's going to be a cover 3 zone, and what Carolina's going to do is first they're going to have the 2 receivers on the top half of the screen run those 2 routes right there. And the real reason this is effective is because they're also going to have a Panther run right over there. And so essentially, there's 2 guys that are going to be in the gap and coverage right in the middle of the screen. And so essentially, if you look at just the middle of the field, the Cardinal who's in charge of covering this one second highest to the top half of the screen, he will have to make sure he is covering the Panther who's running down, and therefore Greg Olsen, who's on the bottom half of the screen, can run over him and potentially get open. And so after the ball is snapped, you are going to notice that this play doesn't really work out exactly perfectly. A Cardinal does a very good job of getting back in position and trying to cover up this throwing lane. So again, there is a window, but it's a much smaller window than maybe you would have hoped. However, because Kyle Allen was throwing so accurate throughout the game, that's all you really need. He made the throw, Olsen made the catch, and again, another first down. It's that simple, really. One other way that he was really effective, and that the Panthers were really effective, is when they were going up against man coverage. Because against man, oftentimes what you want to do is just find a receiver or just find a player in general who you feel has a favorable matchup against whoever he's going up against, and for the most part that was Greg Olsen. Like on this play, it's going to be a cover 1 blitz, and Greg Olsen's going to be running that route right there. So this is the perfect route to throw to in this situation, and he is where Kyle Allen is going to look to throw the ball to. And so again, nothing too fancy. He fakes the handoff and is going to make a throw. Olsen actually gets pretty open on that one, and he's able to make the catch. So on paper, that might just look like a good play by Olsen more so than a good play by Allen. And that's not totally unfair either. I mean, that was a good play by Olsen. But at the same time, what do I always talk about? You gotta use every tool in your toolbox, and you gotta use your best tool sometimes. And Greg Olsen is clearly their best weapon, so that's why you're gonna use him constantly, because you can use him. I mean, at least just in terms of this straight up passing game. Obviously, you have McCaffrey too, who's also a beast in the passing game, but just out of the backfield, you can't hit him as often as you could Greg Olsen. But he did hit McCaffrey too. I mean, again, he used every tool in his toolbox. But one of the things I actually really liked was this play where he is going to hit McCaffrey, but take a look at how it's going to develop. First off, it's a cover 2 man. So, okay, pretty simple. There's 2 Cardinals deep, and then every other Cardinal who's in coverage here just got one guy to take care of. However, one unique thing is going to happen right when this ball is snapped. If you take a look, okay, number 13 there, he's getting ready to get open. So, at this point, that could be a place that Kyle Allen could look to throw the ball to. However, that Arizona player right there, he's actually going to do something a little bit curious, where he sees that there's potentially an opening coming up right over there, so he's going to try to make sure he takes that away. I'm not sure exactly why he did this, because maybe he just thought that the halfback was blocking and he didn't have to worry about him, but it's a huge mistake. Because now, as you see, he does make sure he's double teaming a receiver at this point, but now McCaffrey, he has nobody on him. He's completely unguarded at this point. And so for Allen, he notices it, dumps it off to McCaffrey, who's able to take it a long way. Now, for some people, they might just be sitting here and saying, well, that was just kind of a bad play by Arizona. And again, that is true. Like, oftentimes in these plays, multiple things have to happen. Either multiple things have to go right for Carolina or multiple things have to go wrong for Arizona. But in something like that, Kyle Allen has to notice that that's what's going on. And that's not so easy to do. It's a lot easier when you're just watching the game on TV than it is when you're actually out there. But he did have the field vision to notice, hey, I've got a wide open halfback right over there. I'm going to hit him, and we're going to pick up some yards here. And that's what he was able to do. So I'd say give him credit. Really, the Panthers' offense as a whole was just rolling. But Kyle Allen definitely did his part in all of these plays. Like on this one, it's going to be a pick play. You send Olsen out to the bottom half of the screen to try to get open. And then you simply send a receiver out. He's going to get in the way of the guy who's in charge of covering Olsen on this one. You block him. Olsen's able to get a touchdown. And after this ball is snapped, you will notice that it's working out perfectly. Greg Olsen is wide open. And just in case people are curious, why isn't it a penalty? Well, it's happening before 1 yard past the line of scrimmage, making it a totally legal play. There is no pass interference past 1 yard of the line of scrimmage. He is not past 1 yard of the line of scrimmage, so it's a legal play. But if you look at Kyle Allen, he's already in throwing motion. This is no hesitation whatsoever, which is what you have to do on a play like this. You have to know exactly where you're going to throw the ball to and not hesitate if it is open. That's what he does. Olsen makes the catch, gets into the end zone, and they score a touchdown. I mean, again, that's not necessarily a highlight reel play. That's not Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball 75 yards down the field or anything like that. But most plays aren't going to be that. For Kyle Allen, you don't expect him to do that. But what you do want him to be able to do is make sure he hits Greg Olsen in strides so he can catch the ball and then easily run into the end zone. And that's what he was able to do. One last play I actually really liked from Allen was this one, where it's actually going to be a cover 0, where there's going to be a 6-man rush, and then, the other 5 Arizona Cardinals in the game are just going to be covering the 5 eligible receivers. It's a 3rd down and 5. They're trying to force Kyle Allen to make a quick decision, and it could work out. It's actually not a terrible play call whatsoever. Especially when your opponent is already in field goal range up 8. If you could potentially force a turnover, that could keep it a 1-score game and give you hope. So it's kind of a risky play here, but it's a risk that Arizona is going to be willing to make. And for Carolina, they have a receiver who's going to be running an out route right over there, which that's a route that Kyle Allen likes, but it's going to be hard for him to have the time to make that throw. That's the kind of thing with a cover 0, is you're sending more guys blitzing than you have blockers. You have 5 offensive linemen and 6 men are blitzing, so someone's going to get by completely untouched. And so after this ball is snapped, as you notice, there's actually going to be 2 Cardinals who are getting by pretty much completely untouched. But what I like about this from Allen is watch what he's going to do. He's then going to just run straight to the bottom half of the screen just to give himself a little more time. It makes a great throw on the run, and they're still able to get that completion. That is not easy to do, but Allen was able to pull off that play. Really a tremendous play, and also just good awareness of knowing if he can just give himself an extra second, he could make this throw. And even when it actually didn't get as open as he thought it was going to, he still made a great throw, and they got a 1st down and goal. So yeah, I love to see stories like this of kind of a no-name guy coming out of nowhere and just being able to be a really good player. Who knows how good he'll actually be. He's only played 2 games at this point. One of them was to a team that had already locked up playoffs, and then the other one is to the Cardinals, who are not the best, although they're not scrubs either. They've played pretty well their first 2 games. They are still a lower tier NFL football team as of this point, but, they did tie the Lions, who now are still undefeated somehow. So they're definitely not they're not a disaster by any means. But anyways, I thought Kyle Allen played pretty well. I'd like to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching.